Como una mirada hecha en Sonora, vestida con el mar de Cozumel, con el color del sol por todo el cuerpo, así se lleva México en la piel, como el buen tequila de esta tierra, o como un amigo en Yucatán, en aguas calientes deshilados, lana tejida en Teotitlán. Así se siente México, así se siente México, así como los labios por la piel. Así te envuelve México, así te sabe México, así se lleva México en la piel. Como ver la sierra de Chihuahua, la artesanía en San Miguel, remontar el cerro de la Silla, si se lleva México en la piel, como acompañarse con mariachi para hacer llorar a esa canción. En el sur se toca con marimba y en el norte con acordeón. Así se siente México, así se siente México, así como los labios por la piel. Así te envuelve México, así te sabe México, así se lleva México en la piel. Como un buen sarao.
Good morning. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Aren't those images beautiful? Wow. I've been to Mexico once, kind of, sort of, but never seen that historic part of Mexico. And it's just so beautiful, and the music is inspiring. But anyway, happy Cinco de Mayo. I'm wearing my Cinco de Mayo hair today. Lots of curls. We're still playing around with all this hair. But anyway, I wish you a wonderful day, and to give you some ways to celebrate, I'm going to start with music because, say it together, everybody, music always makes it better. Today at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Altissimo Live, and this is you can find it. I found it on Facebook, so I would suggest going to Facebook. Sorry, I'm looking at the girls. Altissimo, Altisimo, and tonight they're going to do something live at 5 o'clock to celebrate Cinco de Mayo and also to help raise money for struggling farm workers, which is a great cause, right? If we can't grow our own food, we're going to be in a lot of trouble in this nation. So Gloria, let's see, Eva Longoria. You may remember her from Desperate Housewives. She is going to co-host, and Gloria and Emilia Estefan will be there, and it's going to be a celebration of Mexican music. And I think it sounds like fun, even if you just tune in for a little bit, long enough to have your margarita, which I'm going to suggest you try a watermelon margarita. Ooh, right? So it's real simple. You just mush up some watermelon until you get a nice puree. And then you can do it two ways. If you want to be the purist, you can do a cup of the watermelon, half a teaspoon of confectioner sugar, and half a lime. However, if you're, a little simpler, you do the watermelon and 1 cup of that and 2 cups of lemonade. And then garnish. I'm going to garnish with some orange slices, and then I think I'll throw some other fruit in there because why not? It can be a sangria as well as a margarita, right? And then that's the virgin, so they call it, or the non-alcoholic. But if you have tequila, triple sec, and Midori, go for it. So happy Cinco de Mayo, and enjoy the day, whatever it brings. They talk about frost and snow here, so who knows, right? I know you're all excited, and I am too. Today's Garden Tuesday, and for the last month, we have been doing garden. We've planted our seeds. We've got a garden growing. But after last week, there's not much else to show you until we put them outside. They're still the same, just bigger, and they are getting bigger, I promise you, and the garden looks great. But I thought between being bored with the garden that we're starting until we can put it outside, and also all the events that are being canceled around us, all our favorite the Corn Festival and what is it, North Tonawanda, Canal Fest, and all these things. It's so discouraging, and we have nothing to look forward to. But I have news for you. If you did not hear yesterday, the Garden Walk Buffalo put out a press release saying, we're not going down. Mother Nature goes on, and so is the Garden Walk Buffalo. And I am so pleased to have with me this morning a man who I've known for about 10 years. We wander in and out of each other's lives on occasion. And I called him yesterday and I said, come on. And he said, sure. So I'm going to turn the camera around and we are on, is Jim Charlet, who is a part of Garden Walk Buffalo. He's the vice president now, was the president at one time, but he's also an incredibly creative, talented man who does his own business in creative design, but what he does in his garden, in his yard, is incredible. So he's going to tell us a little bit about how to get your outdoor garden started again, but also what's going on with Garden Walk Buffalo. So I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to turn this around, and you're going to see Jim and I on a Zoom call, okay? Okay, now I'm going to take the camera into my own hands, which is always scary. Good morning, Jim Charlet.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am okay so far.
I know this is early for you, and we're very grateful that you're willing to get up and do this. So thank you for joining us. So yesterday you put out a press release of some very exciting information for Garden Walk Buffalo, and you are not going to close it down. What are you doing?
Yeah, we're not giving up without a fight. We are sort of transforming it for just this year. The garden walk happens the last weekend of July every year, and we don't know what the situation will be then. So we've sort of taken what we figure are safe risks and decided to not do garden walk conventionally, but to do as much as possible of garden walk online. Our purpose is really to share gardens and show off Buffalo, and we can find other ways to do that for just this year. We do have other tours that we do. Garden Walk Buffalo is just part of a bigger organization called Gardens Buffalo Niagara, and we do like a garden art sale on the grounds of the Botanical Gardens. Unfortunately, that's also been canceled. We do Garden Walk Buffalo, which is the nation's largest garden tour. It would normally bring in between 60 and 70,000 visitors from around the U.S., Canada, and beyond. And we have over 400 gardens on it. But this year, we're going to do what we can online and safe. That's our biggest thing. But we also put on the East Side Garden Walk. We helped that organization put on their own tour. And they're still talking about their tour. We also do something called Open Gardens on Thursdays and Fridays. And so far, as long as Pause New York lets up a little bit by the end of July, we'll be doing that for the month of July every Thursday and Friday.
Jim, but it's a lot of work to reformat an event of the scope and size that you do. Why are you making that effort? Why aren't you just saying, you know what, not this year?
Well, and that's one of the reasons why we said no to Garden Walk Buffalo, because we would have to start right now preparing our map, and it takes dozens and dozens and dozens of volunteer hours. It takes a lot of coordination, and it's when we really start spending a good amount of our money on design of it and the printing production. So we had to make a decision now to go for it or not, and there's just too many unsure things right now. But rather than just ditching it, we figured we should stick with our mission of sharing gardens.
And so you've reformatted not only the format, but the name. What is the name you're calling it this year?
Yeah, it's only for this year. We wanted to do something that was different than Garden Walk, because we don't want people to think that they can go out on that last full weekend of July and start wandering gardens, because it's unsafe. You've been to some of our gardens? They are smaller than my office, and it's just not safe. In that little cottage district with all those tiny little houses, there are lines to get into gardens, and putting people 6 feet apart in lines, that's all craziness. So we've rebranded it sort of as Buffalo Garden Views, because a lot of these views are things you're going to have to view online. And it's interesting that there's Google Street View, and that YouTube measures everything in views. So we chose that word because it sort of bridges that internet kind of language with what people enjoy doing in the summertime, and that's viewing gardens. There will be little tours we're going to put out. This is all in the works, but maybe every Monday we'll put out a little mini walking tour of just front yard gardens that you can see from sidewalks. One in the Delaware district, which my home is in that. One in the Cottage district, maybe one or two over on the east side. Another one in the Parkside neighborhood. Just to give, because they're getting out there and walking, but they're all in Delaware Park in the town, in the city anyway. They're all in Delaware Park, or they're all in Forest Lawn, or they're all around Mirror Lake, and it's getting crowded. And I think families are looking for other things to do while they're hunting teddy bears and things like that, to have other neighborhoods of beautiful houses and beautiful gardens to walk around.
Why do you do this? I mean, this is volunteer. You people are not getting paid. You're a volunteer organization, and the amount of time and effort you put into this is endless.
We have a core of probably about 30, maybe even 40 volunteers that put all these things on. And we've got a good-sized board of very committed people. And we're all proud of living in this region. Buffalo Niagara, there's that new painted mural downtown that says, keep Buffalo a secret. I've been telling people for 20 years, our theme should be, shh, Buffalo, don't tell anyone.
That's hysterical.
They'll all just want to come here. We love showing it off. And the gardeners, some of them feel it is their civic duty. It's one thing they can give to the city is to show off gardens to visitors so they can see how beautiful the city is.
Wow, wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing all that information. And I know where can people find out more? How can they watch these virtual gardens? How is it all going to roll out?
Well, what we're planning on doing is something along the lines of, I've got to find my document here. It's going to be the entire month of July, and every day we're going to have something going on. So let's say, every Sunday, we might roll out one of these little maps of maybe a mile and a half walk you can do on your own. So every Sunday you could look for that. We're calling it strolls to see front yard gardens, any day of the week, not weekends. And then on Mondays, we would put out a lot of videos or photography by the gardeners themselves that they submit to us. We're going to call that the Gardener's Eye View. Actually, the walking tour on Sundays will be called Gardens in Plain View.
Nice.
On Monday, the Gardener's Eye View. That's all submitted stuff from our gardeners. And then Tuesdays would be the Garden Pro Interview. And that would be bringing on, hopefully, Sally Cunningham and Lynn Chimera and a bunch of these other people who are experts in the gardening field about pollinators and all sorts of things. And then on Wednesdays, we would have garden stories by the Buffalo Architecture Foundation. They've been collecting garden walk stories and photos from people for probably 6, maybe even 7 years now. And they've got about 30 gardens, and we're going to collect more of those stories and then push them out there to share. Nice. That's all with the Buffalo Architecture Foundation. And then on Thursdays, we're looking at Gardens Buffalo Niagara Into View, where we would explain some of the other stuff that we do. We've given out about $100,000 in grants to block clubs and community groups for beautification projects, garden-oriented beautification projects throughout the region. And we want to be able to tell that story or tell the story of how the East Side Garden Walk started. So every Thursday we would do that. Fridays we would do a garden live view where we'd interview one of our Garden Walk or Garden Walk Buffalo or East Side garden people live and show people around their gardens. And then on Saturdays it would be points of view, where we would talk to partners that we have, like the Buffalo Architecture Foundation or Massachusetts Avenue Project or grassroots gardens, groups like that.
Wow. Wow. Just even coming up with that kind of an idea, weaving through view, all the fine details that you already have mapped out in that thing is amazing. How long have you and the committee been working on this? When did you first start thinking about reformatting?
It was about a month ago when we decided when we had to make a decision about Garden Walk Buffalo and to whether to just drop it for the year and not do anything or to present something else instead. So it's been about a month trying to figure this out, and now we'll spend the next month trying to figure out how to make it happen.
Was it a struggle to get people to say anything but let's drop it?
We just announced this yesterday, and pretty much our board we're sad. Everyone enjoys it. Many of the gardeners are disappointed, but they understand. I would say that the reaction so far has been sweet. It's been, thank you for, protecting buffalo and making sure our health is important. We're going to miss the garden walk, but we're glad there's other ways to share it. People have been very, very kind.
Grateful. We're grateful that you're giving us something, right? And you're not,
Yeah.
I'm not complaining about any event that's canceling. Everyone has to do what's best. But at the same time, you're giving us something to look forward to. And that's so crucial. The other thing that strikes me, Jim, is that in listening to you talking about the various storytelling that you're doing, and I know you have a book too that we want to talk about before we're done here.
Well, sure.
Okay. There is a very strong historical element of this garden walk, especially this year now that you're doing so much storytelling and looking to do more about this city and memories and permanent reflections that will be forever. That is something that I don't know has ever been done before in the history of Buffalo, relative from the viewpoint of people and their gardens and where they live and different pockets of the city. Has that occurred to you? Like, is that a element of what you think about when you do this?
I think about it, yes. Dennis Galucki, I don't know if you know Dennis Galucki. He is he arranges the every Wednesday seminars at the library. Wonderful things. He put it to me that the Olmsted parks are a gardening DNA in our systems, and that everything that happens out of gardening in this region can somehow go back to the fact that these parks are so important to us, and that they weave in and out of neighborhoods. They weave in and out of people's daily existence. And it's hard to drive around town without appreciating an Olmsted park.
Right.
So green space and beauty happens to be in Buffalonians' DNA. The first book on gardens in Buffalo ever was the one Garden Walk. The book was called Garden Walk Buffalo. Was published in about 2005, and it's out of print now, but it was well received.
I have that book. I just thought of that. I have that book. Yeah, it's a beautiful, gorgeous book.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I think there was a clamor for something like that. And Garden Walk Buffalo last year hit its 25th anniversary, so we've got 25 years of building a garden culture or enhancing Buffalo's garden culture. But it's Buffalo. The people are generous. I tell people that the gardeners in Buffalo are freakishly friendly.
I think the history part of this garden walk is essential, and I think it's so great that you do that. Over and above the history and the flowers and the beauty, we talk about that here on Heart and Soul all the time, about how everyone deserves to have a life surrounded by beauty, and what is more essential in beauty than Mother Nature and what she gives us every year. Some years it's not exactly what we'd like, but overall, when the COVID started, you still went out the door and the snowdrops were coming up and the daffodils came and the tulips. And I think that essential part of nature really is something that's carrying us all forward in realizing that don't listen to the reports too much. Don't listen to all the noise too much, because at the end of the day, life goes on and we have to figure out ways to do that. And I think nature and this garden walk going on inspire us to believe that, okay, it might not be exactly what we want, but there will be ways for us to have these lives. So thank you for doing that. So let's talk about your garden. You have a garden. You have an incredible garden shed that you built that everyone, envies.
I'm in it. This is my garden shed in the background.
Is that real or is that virtual?
Oh, that's virtual, I'm afraid.
Okay. Yeah, well, no, I was going to make you get up and walk around and give us a tour. That's why I asked. But are you a gardener? I mean, I know you do beautiful garden work, but are you a gardener by nature? And what are your gardens like?
Oh, garden by nature. I get that. You're very funny. I'm a gardener now. I helped my granddad with his vegetable garden when I was little, and then my parents didn't do anything garden wise necessarily, but then you go to college, and then you have your fun with your first job and that kind of stuff. I don't think anyone really gets serious about gardening until they own a home. Once you get that home, you want to do something with a space that you can enjoy, and that's about when I started it, when I bought my first house, probably around 1990. And ever since then, I've just built the gardens for my pleasure, and I admit some of it's a little bit showy for the tours. but it's my form of relaxation. I'm an art director, advertising art director. That's what I do for a living. And the gardening is what I do for relaxing. People come into the garden, they say, "Oh, it must be so much work." And it's like, no, this is the fun stuff. This is what I do when I'm not working. So yeah, I've been gardening for a long time and enjoy it tremendously. And I'm not a plant guy. I don't collect really plants. I don't know plants that well. I like garden design. That's my thing.
So you're the architectural part of the gardening industry. You like the design. You like to put it together, not necessarily choose the plants or have the knowledge.
Yeah, well, I have a little bit of that, but I like to see how people use plants and how they use their yards for their own enjoyment. We've got in my book.
There we go. Oh, we can't see it because of the virtual. There, good.
Buffalo Style Gardens. I wrote it with Sally Cunningham, the Buffalo News garden columnist,
Yep.
and what we found that, and we didn't come up with this term, but a garden or a writer for the Atlantic magazine came up with it, Buffalo Style Gardens, is that Buffalonians tend to put their passion into their gardens. They put whatever they're interested in into the gardens. On one garden walk, there's a gardener who she would bring out all these old wooden desks, with the flip tops and
Right.
the attached seats, all these little desks, and she would paint them the metal parts in bright colors, and then she would plant in the desktop. But she was a teacher, and that meant something to her.
Right. Makes
and
sense.
it also connects with a lot of people who come to visit her. Another woman over on, I think it's Norwood, she lived for her grandchildren. So the narrow alley between her house, there was an archway halfway between. When you would walk into the archway, everything was white. All the plants were white, green leaves and stuff, but white flowers, and everything was painted white. Once you crossed the archway, everything was in full color.
Like the Wizard of Oz.
It was her nod to the Wizard of Oz, right? So it's, people do these interesting, fun things. There's one house on Richmond with a tree house in it for their little girls. Little girls are grown now, but it's spectacular. Got another one who on Bain Street, which is I wish I could show you some of these photos.
Yeah. Right.
Beautiful, beautiful garden with a reflecting pond and a sculpture that throws water into the reflecting pond, and it's a very contemplative garden. It's just beautiful. You would think a Buddhist lives in the house. It's just gorgeous. And there's little ones like that. There's one on Linwood Ave. They are two Fisher-Price toy designers. And she, the wife, for her husband's 50th birthday, built a pergola, I don't know, a gazebo structure that is a sphere, like a Buckminster Fuller sphere.
Wow.
That is 14 feet tall.
Good grief.
You can walk into it, and there's a bunch of chairs in there, and have a nice drink, and it's directly behind the Saturn Club. So the back wall of their garden is I think it's about 3 stories tall. I think the racquetball court is on the other side of the wall,
right?
But that makes up their wall. So they wanted something sculptural to be able to see against that wall, even in the wintertime. So there's these great stories of how people approach their own garden. And the Buffalo Style Garden is usually smaller spaces because they're all urban gardens, but they just expand your mind with what these creative people have done with them.
Jim, it's been great visiting with you this morning, and thank you so much for coming on and being game to do this through Zoom. And one more time, let us see your book and tell us where we can find it if we want it. Wait.
Buffalo Style Gardens.
Yep. Yeah, you got to put it just right. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It's
virtual, not always so much. And then
I know.
Where can you get it?
You can get it online at buffalostylegardens.com.
Okay.
You can get it at most local bookstores have it. If they don't, you can order it. It's also on Amazon. And that's about it. If you get it through buffalostylegardens.com, Sally and I can personalize it for you.
That would be great. I think that's always a gift to the book lover, but also to the authors, because it feels good to know that when someone gets a book, it has your wishes before they even get into the book. So that's great news. Jim Charlie.
You would know. How many books do you have?
Oh, number 5. I'm not sure what to do. I've got one that's ready to go. And do I publish now or not? I don't know. That's another whole story. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for giving us an event that we can look forward to. I am so excited. And, garden walks sometimes can be a lot because it's crowded and it's hot, and sometimes am I going to walk? Am I going to be okay? And this year you're giving us the ability to go no matter what, even if it's COVID. So thank you for that. And I know that everyone watching thanks you as well. So have a great day and keep working. Let us know, come back and give us updates. Maybe once a month you can come back and tell us how it's going.
I'm here for you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jim. You have a great day.
You too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So how exciting was that? And I'm sorry we cut out in the middle. I'll put the two together so that they're good. But, the slip of a finger shuts everything down. But anyway, that was great. And Jim Charlie is such a talented man. If you have not seen his garden shed, he built a garden shed that you would like to live in. It is so gorgeous. But anyway, this has been a long heart and soul, but I hope it was a good day for your Garden Tuesday. And look for the poll. I'll put out a poll today so we can talk tomorrow about what it's going to be. And I think what I'm going to ask you is, what's your favorite Western New York or anywhere, wherever you are, event that it's not going to happen this year? And what's your best memory of it that makes it your favorite? So we'll put that poll up later. In the meantime, Cinco de Mayo, what is it? Go out and dance and drink your margarita and listen to Mexican music and have a great day with Heart and Soul. I'm Christina Apt.